Noi esseri umani interagiamo ogni giorno.
Every day, human beings interact with the objects that surround us, so we know how they are arranged in the 3D environment. We can think of a neural network as a network that is able to simulate our cognitive process of perceiving the surrounding environment.
Percepire l'ambiente circostante.
La computer vision può essere applicata nell'ambito della
Computer vision can be applied in the field of IoT, and in particular, it can be used to extract meaningful information from images. In our specific case, we extract the information related to the perception of the surrounding environment filmed by cameras. To do that, in recent years, it has become possible to use methodologies based on artificial intelligence technologies. AI systems learn from the data themselves. Particularly, they learn whether labels or characteristics are associated with these data. In our case, the label in the distance of the objects in the scene. How can this distance be achieved? Thanks to two different strategies. In the case of the supervised method, the strategy by which these training labels are obtained is typically based on the use of depth sensors, active sensors, that are very expensive, very bulky, and not easy to get.
Utilizzando queste informazioni è possibile però
By using this information, however, it is possible to train these artificial intelligence networks. A different strategy that we widely use consists of extracting the learning information, the so-called labels, directly from the images without using any other sensor but cameras which are easily available and affordable. Our research group uses both the systems based on the stereoscopic and monocular setups. In recent years, however, thanks to the progress that we made with regard to monocular vision, we increasingly tend to use a single camera in many applications. The reason for this choice is that most of the current systems of the existing cameras in the whole world use only one camera, as in the video surveillance systems.
come nei sistemi di videosorveglianza.
Il tema della depth da singola immagine è oggigiorno uno degli argomenti più.
Nowadays, the subject of the single image depth is one of the most studied and researched topics in the field of computer vision. However, it presents a considerably higher degree of difficulty compared to systems based on a stereoscopic configuration. Since, unlike a stereoscopic system, in which it is possible to geometrically infer depth values by searching for corresponding points between two or more images of the same scene, the estimation of the single image depth is only possible by exploiting information contained within the scene. For example, perspective, vanishing points, size of objects, lighting and shadows within the same scene.
Della stessa scena. Solamente con l'avvento del deep learning.
In recent years, thanks to the deep learning, it has become possible to progress on this topic and obtain results which were unimaginable before. In fact, thanks to these new studies based on artificial intelligence, it is now possible to exploit this mono-depth estimation methodology in several different application fields, in the robotics and video surveillance fields and augmented reality too.
E anche della realtà aumentata. Un esempio pratico di realtà.
A typical example of augmented reality, which exploits the estimation of single image depth, is when we insert a virtual object within a real scene, and at different 3D layers of the same scene, the virtual object becomes increasingly smaller in size, or it can even disappear by hiding itself behind real objects that are actually closest to the camera.
Reali che si trovano più vicini alla telecamera.
In addition to the world of entertainment, there are many other useful applications related, for example, to the safety of the user who uses a device. A very important area that lately had a consistent development is the one of autonomous driving or assisted driving. In this case, the knowledge of the environment's depth and of the geometric structure of the environment that surrounds us can allow a driver to have additional information on what he is facing and, consequently, to have additional information such as, for example, the exact metric distance from the closest vehicle in front of his and possibly to receive warning signals, suggesting him to slow down in the case of insufficient safety distance. The recent pandemic has raised the need to monitor the interpersonal distance between people in the scene in order to prevent contagion between them. We know that this is possible through Bluetooth technologies uses devices applications that exploit Bluetooth in order to track the distance between people thanks to the Bluetooth signal. However, this requires active users' participation, who must download a suitable application and keep the Bluetooth always on. This also implies an extra use of the device's battery. A solution based on computer vision and on depth estimation is possible and allows us somehow to overcome these two problems. In fact, it is possible to use a centralized solution, a camera recording the scene and at the same time automatically calculating the distance between people by estimating the depth. So, we can evaluate the differences between the estimate of the depth obtained from a stereo or from a mono system. In particular, if we have a stereo system available, we can have an estimate of the absolute metric distance. Afterwards, once this information has been estimated, we just need to calculate the distance between people and our application is able to effectively monitor this aspect. If we are dealing with an estimate of the depth calculated by a mono system, we obtain a relative estimate. That is, we learn which elements in the scene are closer than others. Despite this issue, we are able to calibrate this missing scale in our monocular system through a suitable initial calibration of the system, which only requires the knowledge of some dimensions of known objects in the scene, and that allows us to go back to a fully metric system and to monitor and estimate the interpersonal distance and to report any potential violations.
Violazioni della stessa.